Hello and welcome to Tech Retrospective. I'm your host Jacob, and today we're doing a top 5 video counting down the 5 worst keyboards in our collection. Before we get into it, make sure to subscribe and check out our Patreon, link in the description down below. We've covered dozens upon dozens of computers from the 70s, 80s, and 90s on this channel. One thing that has remained constant from all of those videos is how much I value a good computer coming with a good, solid keyboard. I'm the type of guy who really cares about the tactile feel of keyboards. You know, the type who goes on rants about how nice the IBM Model M is, or spends their day wasting time on r/mechanical keyboards. Or actually has a favorite key switch type. Cherry MX Red Silence, by the way. So naturally, bad keyboards really tick me off. And in our collection of hundreds of computers, we definitely have some real stinkers. And of course, these are only my opinions. So if your favorite childhood system ends up on this list, I'm sorry. Let's get started. Number 5. The Tandy MC10 microcomputer. It's not surprising that you end up with a bad keyboard on a system that was designed with low cost as its primary goal. In fact, this is not the last time you'll see that concept on this list. This keyboard uses hard plastic chiclet keys. They're fairly small, hard, chiclet-style keys with an extremely short travel. Definitely not something I want to write a report on, but it's not nearly as bad as some of the systems coming up. The other thing keeping it at number 5 is the inclusion of a full spacebar. In fact, despite its inadequacies, the overall key layout is pretty decent, all things considered. Number 4. The new improved PC Junior keyboard. On the surface, this keyboard doesn't look all that bad. Its biggest crime, though, is in its key mechanism. These are straight up some of the worst keys ever from a pure tactile experience. The key press is extremely mushy and not very deep. If I were to assign one word to explain how they feel, it would be limp. I've bought keyboards at the dollar store that felt better than this. It really feels like the keyboard equivalent to those cheap boomboxes that add a ton of flashy lights and fake switches to make them look more premium than they are. Looks can really be deceiving. And what's crazy is that this keyboard was the replacement IBM designed to replace the original keyboard shipped with the units that is even worse. You'd expect it to make an appearance on this list, but we don't actually own one, so it will be absent. But if it was on this list, it would definitely take a high spot. Number 3. The Atari 400. Hey, have you ever seen that video LGR made where he tested a kid-friendly keyboard by doing as the marketing suggested and spread peanut butter all over it? Yeah, pretty fun stuff. The Atari 400 keyboard is that, but well over a decade earlier, and generally worse. At least we got a QWERTY layout though. Now, in its defense, most 400s were sold primarily as systems designed for gaming with a joystick. Many 400 users would rarely, if ever, use the keyboard for more than a few minutes at a time, and if you were interested in programming or word processing, you probably had the funds to buy an Atari 800 instead. Still, the flat, hard-press keys of the 400 are bad enough to get the number 3 spot. Number 2. Mattel Aquarius. These keys are basically the same thing as the keys of the Tandy MC10 we discussed earlier, but replacing the hard plastic with squishy rubber caps. You would think this change would make them less painful to type on, but no. The issue is that you have to press really hard to get them to react. The layout is pretty cramped and the spacebar is relegated to the left corner. Pretty annoying. But hey, at least the keys are blue, which look pretty snazzy. Number 1. The Timex Sinclair 1000. Where do I even start with this abomination? This thing doesn't really have keys, rather you are essentially pressing down on the keyboard membrane itself. While the British system the Timex is based on, the ZX81, was revolutionary, it was also very, very, very cheaply made. I'm sure that for every person who got their start on one of these beasts, and went on to love computers, there's an equal number of people who hated the experience so much that they never used a computer again. These key switches are truly awful, and I would not want to use it for more than a minute or two at a time. This is the keyboard I show to people who are visiting our office to show just how bad things used to be in the world of computing, and it never fails to get a strong reaction. If you have any recommendations for top 5 videos we can do, let us know down in the comments below. You can also join our Discord server and let us know there. If you'd like to support this show financially, join our Patreon where you can get early access to videos and exclusive bonuses. And check out our Facebook and Twitter. And I'll see you guys next time.